Yesterday I started working on the order editor for our CRM system, which I'm currently converting from an HTML5 application into a TornadoFX application. And while working on the order line editors, I came across a lot of small issues with the TableView, and I had to dig to find solutions to my issues. And today I just wanted to share my experiences with you and show you some of the new features I had to add to TornadoFX to make this as enjoyable as possible. So here is the grid for the order line editor. And in the background here, you can see the code that generates this grid. I want to start with looking at this first column called product. In the editor, this is the one. My table view is operating on a list of order line objects. And my order line object has a product property. And this product property has an ID property, and that's the information I want to show in this column. So this is possible to do in a number of ways, but the nicest way is to simply say, I want to make a column, this is the title, and this is the property. The problem is that I didn't have a product ID property in my order line. I only had a product, and then inside that I had an ID. So to solve this, I added the select binding support to TornadoFX so that you can select a deeply nested object and make it appear as a property and actually as an editable property also. So this product ID thing we have here, let me specify the type. You can see that this is a property of type int, and it's coming from the product property configured here. And then I select into the product property and then extract the ID property of that product. And this you can nest as deeply as you want. I just need one level for this one. The result is that I can use it like this in my column. So I also add the fixed width using the smart resize policy for TableView that comes with TornadoFX. Next column is editable, and it's just a normal text property, so that means I can just say make editable and it will understand that I want a text field, and you know, it's just string, so it's easy to bounce back and forth between the editor and the actual text property in the order line. On the next line, however, I have a price property, and this price property is of type amount, which is one of my own classes. And to support this easier, I added an overload to the make editable function, and now it takes a converter. So as long as the converter you pass in is operating on the same type as the property, you can just use it like this. So this will convert from and to text and amount. You can see it in action here. So if I write 500, it will add my decimals and behave like I want it to. Let's look at the next issue here. Actually, sum including VAT. This column is also a bit special because it's a calculated column, so I can't use make editable and then supply a converter because it's not editable. But I still want to convert from the amount object to a string formatted the way I want to. So I added this function called converter to a column where you can specify a converter, and what it does under the cover is just call cell format and assign the text property of the cell to the value you get when you apply this converter to the value of the column. Let's see. Okay, so the next one is enable cell editing. I don't select a row, I select each cell individually, so it's easier to edit. And this is of course supported out of the box by JavaFX. But to enable cell editing, you have to access the selection model of the table view and set the cell selection enabled true and also editable true on the table view. So this is just a nice way of doing both in one go. The next one is this caused me some issues. Grant helped me out in the Slack channel for TornadoFX, and he gave me a solution to this one. So let me change this UI slightly. I will just add a text field above the table. This order lines editor is just the table view, and I have something called an order editor here, which ties together a header, the order lines editor, and the footer. And the footer is these buttons down here. So if I change the center to be a VBox, and I add the text field here, and then the order lines editor below it. And I'm not calling this regain focus after edit function. I'll show you what happens by default when you edit a table view and commit a cell. So whenever I start editing, change my value, and hit enter to commit, the default functionality of the JavaFX table view is actually to give focus away to the first focusable object in the scene graph. I don't know why it's like this, but it's very irritating because you know, I start out using the arrow keys, I hit enter, I change my value, I hit enter again to commit, and I want to keep using my arrow keys to go to another cell, but I can't because now I have to refocus the table view. So I added this function called regain focus after edit to take care of that. So now, even with the extra text field in there that potentially can take focus, I can continue editing as normal. So this is just a small convenience you can use in your own applications if you have that problem. Right now, actually, I don't even have that problem because I don't have anything that can take focus. But it can hurt. So as I continue to add the UI elements, this is not going to come back and bite me, at least. The next big issue I had was that whenever I commit a value in any of these cells, I would like to call out to the database and save this information right away. And the way you normally do that in JavaFX is quite verbose. I will show you. So well, that was not a good example. Let's change this text column and show you how you would do that manually. So you would call set on edit commit, and this is a callback that will run whenever you commit. So when I hit enter, this callback will run. The problem is that whenever you do this, the default functionality of pushing the data from the text field back into your model is removed. So you have to do this yourself now. So what I really want to do is just update order line whenever I commit. But what I have to do to make this work now is first get to the order line. That's available in the row value. And then I have to check, okay, so I'm in the text column. I'm operating on the text property. So that means I want the order line text value to be set to the new value that I get passed in from this callback. Now I can update my order line in the database. So basically I would have to do this for all the editable columns, and that's really a drag. So what we did is we added a function called onEditCommit to the table view instead, that takes care of listening to all edits from all columns, and then after the data is committed from the editable fields back into your model, you can do whatever you want with that order line. So it here is an order line. I could do like this if you want. Order line. So this really cleans up a lot of code, and it's much easier to reason about, because if you do that manually, let's say you want to create the function so that you don't need to add what I added into the text property here, or the text column, to every column, you would have to jump through a couple of hoops, and we've already solved them for you. So this is a much nicer way of doing it. I'm not going to go into the details there. Next thing I want to show you is you see here, whenever I select an order line, the delete order line button is enabled. So if I look up this order, now you can see the delete order line button is not enabled, and when I select, it's enabled. The way this is done, if we go and look in the footer editor, which contains the buttons, I have this delete order line button, and it says enable when order line, and order line here comes from the order line model. Notice that this order line model is the same one injected into the order lines editor. So I want to operate on this up here, and what I did in the table view is to say bind selected to this order line. So whenever the selection in the table view changes, the content, the item inside the order line model will update. So this is why I can say on the delete button, enable when order line is not empty. Empty is a property you get by default in the item view model. And I also want to make it impossible to delete an order line if the order is invoiced. So the button is only enabled when the order line is not empty and the order is not invoiced. And this invoiced thing is also a bit tricky. So let's look at that. That's in the order model. So I bind towards an order in the model. I bind towards an order, and the invoice property is actually also using this nested select syntax. So I listen on the item property, and then I select the invoice property from there, and I turn it into a binding. And this is what enables me to have a binding here that will show the correct data even if the underlying order inside the view model changes. And how did I create the invoiced thing in order? Actually, this one is operating on an invoice number property, and it's a Boolean binding saying that it's invoiced if the invoice number is not 0. So that's how this all ties together. So the button is enabled when the order line is not empty and the order is not invoiced. And then I use an alert box to ask the user if he really wants to delete. And then if it's okay to delete, then I will call the controller function to delete the order line. I think that was most of the stuff I ran into. All of these new features will be in the upcoming TornadoFX 1.5.10, which I think will be released in a couple of days. Thank you for watching.